You know that feeling when you're standing in the supermarket aisle, trying to do the right thing for your family, reading labels until your eyes blur? You pick up something with natural splashed across the front, maybe a nice earth tone package with leaves or farms on it, and you think, yeah, this is the better choice. But here's the thing that's been eating at me lately, and I reckon it'll bother you too once you see it. Some of the most trusted natural brands sitting on Australian shelves right now aren't quite what they're pretending to be. And the really unsettling part? The companies behind them are counting on you not looking too closely. So before you toss that seemingly wholesome product into your trolley this week, you might want to hear what I found when I started digging into the fine print of 10 brands that practically everyone in Australia has bought at some point. Now, I'm not here to tell you what to eat or to shame anyone's choices. I'm just a curious Australian consumer like you, someone who got tired of feeling manipulated every time I walked into Woolies or Coles. What started as simple curiosity, just wanting to understand what I was actually feeding my kids, turned into this proper rabbit hole of ingredient lists, parent companies, and marketing strategies that honestly shocked me. Because here's what nobody tells you outright. The word natural on a food package in Australia has almost no legal meaning. It's not like organic, which has certification standards. Natural can mean just about anything a marketing team wants it to mean. And some very clever people have figured out exactly how to use that gray area to make products seem healthier, cleaner, and more wholesome than they actually are. Let's start with something that might be sitting in your pantry right now. You've probably seen those granola and muesli brands that position themselves as the healthy breakfast choice. The ones with packaging covered in oats and honey and maybe a sunrise over a wheat field. They talk about wholesome ingredients and natural goodness, and the price point is higher than the home brand, so you assume you're paying for quality, right? But when you actually flip that package over and read the ingredients, you'll often find the second or third item listed is sugar. Or sometimes it's hiding as brown rice syrup, or coconut sugar, or some other sweetener that sounds more natural but hits your bloodstream pretty much the same way. Some of these natural breakfast cereals have more sugar per serving than a chocolate biscuit. I'm not making this up. 40 grams of sugar per 100 grams isn't unusual, and that's about the same as lollies. Yet, there it is, marketed as a nutritious start to your day, sold in the health food section, priced like a premium product. The disconnect is staggering when you think about it. Then there's the whole situation with packaged snacks, particularly the ones aimed at kids or marketed as better-for-you alternatives to crisps and sweets. Walk down the snack aisle, and you'll see plenty of products shouting about being baked, not fried, made with real vegetables, free from artificial colors. Sounds great, doesn't it? Except when you look closer, you realize the first ingredient is often refined white flour or rice flour, followed by various oils and a sodium content that would make your doctor wince. Some of these supposedly natural veggie crisps have barely any actual vegetable content at all, maybe 5 or 10%, with the rest being starches and flavorings designed to taste like vegetables. It's essentially the same nutritional profile as regular crisps, just with better marketing and a higher price tag. And parents, myself included, have been buying them thinking we're making a healthier choice for our children's lunchboxes. That realization stung a bit, I've got to be honest. Now here's where things get even more interesting. And by interesting, I mean frustrating. Some of these natural brands you see in Australia aren't actually independent little companies started by passionate health-conscious people. They're owned by the same massive multinational corporations that make the processed foods they're supposedly offering an alternative to. It's a brilliant business strategy when you think about it. Big food companies sees the market shifting toward natural and organic products, so rather than reformulate their existing products, which would be expensive and complicated, they just buy up or create new brands that cater to that market. Then they put these brands on shelves right next to their conventional products, and suddenly, they're capturing both markets. The health-conscious consumer and the conventional consumer both putting money in the same corporate pocket. Nothing illegal about it, but it feels a bit deceptive when the brand's entire marketing message is about being different from big food corporations, when in reality, they are the big food corporation, just wearing a different hat. Let me give you a concrete example that really illustrates this. There's a popular yogurt brand in Australia that markets itself heavily on being natural, probiotic-rich, and made with simple ingredients. The packaging is minimalist and clean, very much that health food aesthetic. But if you check the sugar content in some of their flavored varieties, you're looking at around 20 to 25 grams per serving. That's about 6 teaspoons of sugar in one little pot of yogurt. Now yes, some of that is natural milk sugar, but they're also adding quite a bit more through fruit preparations and sweeteners. For context, the World Health Organization recommends adults consume no more than about 25 grams of added sugar per day total. One yogurt, marketed as a healthy breakfast or snack, could nearly max that out. And here's the kicker. The same company makes a plain, unsweetened version that actually is quite good for you, genuinely natural. But they push the sweetened ones way harder in advertising because, let's be real, sugar sells. Our brains are wired to crave it, so the sweet versions fly off shelves, while the truly healthy plain version sits there largely ignored. This pattern repeats across so many categories. Sports drinks and vitamin waters that claim to be natural hydration solutions but are essentially sugar water with some added vitamins and clever marketing. Plant-based milk alternatives that sound wholesome until you notice they're mostly water and oil with a tiny amount of actual nuts or oats, plus thickeners and sweeteners to make them palatable. Protein bars positioned as natural energy but packed with syrups and processed protein isolates. Fruit snacks for kids that show pictures of real fruit but contain more concentrated juice, which is basically sugar with the fiber removed, than actual fruit pieces. The common thread in all of this is the gap between the marketing message and the actual nutritional reality of what's inside the package. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but surely the organic products are better. And yes, organic certification does mean something real. The ingredients were grown without synthetic pesticides or fertilizers, which is genuinely valuable. But here's what caught me off guard. Organic doesn't automatically mean healthy or even natural in the way most of us think about it. You can have organic cane sugar, organic processed oils, organic refined flours. These are still highly processed ingredients that our bodies respond to in the same way as their non-organic counterparts. I've seen organic biscuits with ingredient lists as long as your arm, full of things I can barely pronounce. They're organic things, sure, but they're still heavily processed. The halo effect of that organic label can make us overlook the fact that we're still eating what is essentially junk food, just junk food made with organically grown junk. Then there's the whole free-from trend that's exploded over the past few years. Gluten-free, dairy-free, sugar-free, you name it. Some people genuinely need these products for medical reasons, and thank goodness they're available. But the food industry has cottoned onto the fact that free-from sells even to people who don't have intolerances or allergies, because it sounds healthier, cleaner, more natural. So now we've got entire ranges of gluten-free products that are actually less nutritious than their wheat-based equivalents because they're made with refined rice flour and starches, often with more sugar and fat added to improve the texture and taste. Sugar-free products sweetened with artificial sweeteners or sugar alcohols that can cause digestive issues and might actually mess with your metabolism in ways we're only beginning to understand. The natural label gets slapped on these products, and people assume they're making a better choice, when in many cases they're just swapping one set of problems for another. What really gets me is how sophisticated the marketing has become. These companies don't just put natural on the label and call it a day. They tell whole stories. They talk about family recipes and traditional methods. They show images of farms and orchards and happy people in fields. They use words like artisan and craft and authentic. They create entire brand mythologies designed to make you feel something when you see their product, to make you believe you're buying into a lifestyle, a set of values. And it works incredibly well. We're all susceptible to it. I've caught myself paying double for something just because the package felt more wholesome, more aligned with how I want to see myself and my family. It's powerful stuff, and the companies know it. But here's the thing that really crystallizes the whole situation for me. I started taking photos of ingredient lists when I shopped, comparing products side by side. I compared the natural premium brand to the basic home brand. And you know what I found more often than not? The ingredients were remarkably similar, sometimes identical, just in a different order. The natural brand might have one or two ingredients swapped out or added, just enough to justify the marketing claims and the price difference, but fundamentally, you're getting the same product dressed up in fancier packaging with a better story attached. That's not always the case. There are genuinely better products out there, but it happens enough to be concerning. We're paying a premium for perception, for the feeling that we're doing better, when the actual nutritional difference is minimal or sometimes non-existent. So what's the practical takeaway from all this? How do you actually navigate the supermarket when it feels like everyone's trying to pull one over on you? I've come to a few conclusions after months of obsessive label reading and research. First, ignore the front of the package almost entirely. Everything there is marketing. The real information is on the back and sides. Look at the ingredient list first and the nutritional information panel second. If sugar or a sugar synonym is in the top 3 ingredients, you're looking at a sweet treat, not a health food, no matter what the front of the package claims. If the ingredient list is longer than a few lines and contains words you wouldn't find in your kitchen, you're dealing with a highly processed product, regardless of the natural claims. Second, be suspicious of health halos and marketing buzzwords. Natural, wholesome, real, authentic. These words are designed to trigger positive emotions, not to convey factual nutritional information. Don't let them override what the actual ingredients and numbers are telling you. A product doesn't become healthy just because someone printed natural on it in a pretty font next to a picture of a wheat field. Third, understand that expensive doesn't mean better. Some of the priciest products in the health food section are nutritionally similar or even inferior to cheaper alternatives. You're often paying for branding and positioning, not superior ingredients or nutrition. And fourth, real whole foods don't need to convince you they're healthy. An apple doesn't come with marketing claims. Neither do carrots or oats or eggs. The more a processed food product has to tell you how good it is for you, the more skeptical you should probably be. The companies making these natural products aren't necessarily evil or trying to poison anyone. They're businesses responding to market demands and operating within the rules as they exist. But those rules around food labeling and marketing in Australia have some serious loopholes that allow for this kind of creative interpretation of what natural means. And until those loopholes get closed, which honestly might never happen given how strong food industry lobbying is, it falls on us as consumers to be more critical, more questioning, more willing to look past the marketing to the actual substance of what we're buying. I think about my own shopping habits now compared to 6 months ago, and they've changed quite a bit. I spend more time in the fresh produce section and less in the packaged food aisles. When I do buy packaged foods, I go in with realistic expectations. I know that convenient pre-made food is going to be processed to some degree. That's the nature of it, and that's okay as part of a balanced diet. But I'm no longer fooling myself that I'm buying health food just because the package says natural or shows a farm scene. I read labels quickly now, just a glance at the ingredient list, and sugar content tells me most of what I need to know. And honestly, I feel less stressed about food choices because I'm not constantly trying to decode which marketing claims are genuine and which are rubbish. I just look at the facts and make a decision based on that. The 10 brands I mentioned at the start, I'm not going to name them specifically because that's not really the point here. They change, new ones pop up, old ones get reformulated or bought out. What matters is the pattern, the system, the way natural has been turned into a marketing term rather than a meaningful description. Once you see that pattern, once you understand the game being played, you start seeing it everywhere. And you can make genuinely informed choices rather than ones based on how a package makes you feel. Your family's health is too important to be left to marketing departments. The food you put in your body and feed to your kids deserves more than surface-level scrutiny. And while it takes a bit more effort to become a critical label reader, to question the claims and look at the actual data, it's effort that pays off in better health outcomes and, honestly, better value for money, too. You stop wasting cash on overpriced products that aren't delivering what they promise. So next time you're in the supermarket and you see something calling itself natural, take an extra 30 seconds. Pick it up, turn it around, read what's actually in it. Compare it to the regular version or the home brand. See if the natural claim holds up to scrutiny. More often than you'd expect, you'll find it doesn't. And that's not about being paranoid or cynical about food. It's just about being informed and making choices based on reality rather than marketing fantasy. Because at the end of the day, the most natural foods are the ones that don't need to tell you they're natural at all.